What's up to my YouTubers? My name is Anthony Parker, and welcome to another edition of the Parker Daniels Show. I know everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. At least I'm hoping that they did. Shouldn't be presumptuous, but it is what it is. I don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, but that's another story. Today, we're going to take you to the great state of Washington and speak with a young lady by the name of Brittany. Brittany, are you on here?
I'm live.
You're live, that's correct. She's going to give you her story. I had the pleasure of speaking with Brittany. She was on another segment of mine, along with another fella, talking about music. She is a music producer. So, before I go into the situation, you know what I always do. I tell you all to subscribe, share, hit the notification, comment, like, follow, go tell your friends, go tell your grandma and them, your mom and them, everything about the Parker Daniels Show. So, big up to everybody out there who's listening. Really, I really appreciate it. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the conversation. Brittany's going to take us from the time in which she was basically, not really born, but just give us a little insight into her earlier years and walk us through her life. And you all stay tuned, and you better pay attention. So without further delay again, Brittany.
Oh yeah.
How you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Are you sure you're doing really good?
I'm doing so great.
Okay. That's what. Say hello to the fans, your potential fans and the audience right now.
Hi you guys.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Parker Daniels Show. Brittany, this is your show, and I want you to talk to the people, tell them who you are, what you do, where you going, and what do you hope to accomplish in your life as a blind person. So, you have the show and the flow. See, that rhymes. Go ahead.
Oh, so, being a blind person is very fun, and sometimes it's very challenging. But the most important thing that I hope to accomplish as a blind person and where I hope to go is, is to be my very best, just as anyone else would want to be their best. Everything that I put my mind and my heart to, everything that I put my hand to, I want to be the very best. There is nothing, less for me. I don't give myself a break because I'm blind. And I don't want you guys out there to think that blind people need your pity or give us a break. No. I want you guys to remember that we're just like you and we have all the potential that you all have as well. So it's yeah.
Great speech. I love that. Y'all better take heed to that. Everyone understand that. So Brittany, walk us through your life. Tell us, a little bit about your history. Touch on some valid points, and let the people know about who you are.
Well, I'm just this little girl from KC, Kansas City, Missouri. And, I grew up kind of in a single-parent home. I grew up with my grandmother due to some, family trauma. My mother was incarcerated for 10 years of my life. And, that in itself was a challenge because you're having to learn who you are kind of by yourself and on your own. And, growing up in school, going to school was a really fun experience because although I learned a lot of things that blind people are supposed to learn, Braille, using a cane, travel and things like that, there was a lot of bullying going on, and there was a lot of discouragement in that area because, they didn't really teach us how to socialize with our peers. It just kind of threw us to the wolves when it came to that.
Wow.
And so, basically growing up and, learning how to be not just a blind person, but just be a person, a functional person was a really adventurous. I won't say it was really hard ooh, the struggle was real. But I'll say it was adventurous because I had to take different roads and I had to learn different techniques on how to gather information that I needed while maintaining my own, my own kind of bubble and, doing my own thing. So, yeah, that's my growing up kind of just.
Okay, before we move on, the school that you had gone to, was it a school for visually impaired at the time, or was it just a regular public school?
Well, at my beginning, I would say definitely, let's say kindergarten and up was an elementary school that was definitely, it was a public school. It wasn't necessarily for the blind, but it had programs. Like we had a classroom that was specifically for those of us with disabilities or visual impairment.
Okay.
And then when I got into middle school, then we moved on to the blind school in St. Louis.
Okay, but before we go there, you were telling me something pre-recorded about the kids. Briefly tell us how they treated you and what have you.
Well, the kids were they were very distant in that they didn't really understand, what I went through as being blind, and they were like very aggressive toward me. Like they would throw things at me because they knew I couldn't see it coming, and they would take things from me if they wanted them. But on the other hand, they, like, if I was playing their favorite song on the piano, then they were my best buddies.
So you saying that you started, in order to calm them down, you started playing music and whatnot that calmed them down?
Well, yeah, sometimes it did. Sometimes it made them jealous or mean, even more mean. But that just showed me that they were trying to find themselves too. And it's just all a growing thing.
Okay. All right. Well, they do say these days that music does calm the savage beast. So I'm glad you were able to find some median medium point to where you were able to get them on your team. So go ahead,
right.
Take us through some more the rest of your life.
So as I said, I want to go back also with some of my with my family history. So when I was about 12 years old, I lost my dad. He was killed, and he was very, very integral in kind of my musical development and my awareness of sound. He would teach me how to listen to different things and really pay attention to the way things sounded. Not just to me, but to other people.
Was he sighted? Yes,
he was sighted. Yes,
and
he was.
That's interesting. And the reason why I asked that is because that's interesting to know that he was able to get you to focus on that aspect. Because most sighted people don't really think along those lines. So that was really interesting and really a good thing that he did do that, though.
He did, and he really I want to give you an example of a game we used to play. So this joint was really weird. He would always surprise me because this is back in the day of the Walkman and the cassette tapes, right? So this is probably about 2000, the year of 2000. I was born in 94. This is probably about the year of 2000. So we're still, headphones on, stereo type of bass thing going on in the Walkman thing. So we would go ahead and we would, he would surprise me with a song. He wouldn't tell me. He would just place headphones on my head with the song playing, and I would listen to it from top to bottom, from top of the tape to the end of the song. And if I could play the song, if I knew the song note for note, he would give me my keyboard that I had, and he would say, what I want you to do now is play this song the way that you heard it exactly on the tape.
And were you successful?
And most of the time I was successful. And then But this is where it got crazy, because then he would say, now that you played it the original way, I want you to turn that song around, start at the top, and play it the way that you heard it for yourself. If you were to arrange that song,
Wow.
how would you have played it?
So that helped you become musically inclined. Am I safe to say that?
Yes, it definitely did.
Okay.
It helped me to, it helped me to become more aware of musical self.
Okay.
Is what I call it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I hear that she is very much musically inclined, and if you checked out the last video, you know that she's a great producer. So as we continue, you were telling me about some particular things in your life that you want to accomplish that you've already put in motion. Let the people briefly know about what that is.
Well, I've started to put into motion a kind of a compilation kind of project for not only blind artists, but also just artists all over the state of Washington, and just new independent artists. Because we realize in our communities now that there's just these groups of independent artists that are incredible, but you won't see them on any billboard, or you won't see them on any BET type of, in that type of situation, because for one thing, they're independent and they're learning, again, how to grow, how to become. So what we're doing is we're going and we're recording live shows with these artists, and soon we will have a platform for you guys to view this, but it isn't available quite yet.
Okay.
But we're looking at stuff like Netflix and, different cable companies to help, spread the word of this new development, this new thing. And we're calling it Fremont Gets Played. And Fremont is a city in Washington, and it's the city in which we're being facilitated from. So this is where it started, in Fremont, but it's really for artists all over the Washington area.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So I can issue you an invitation to where whenever you get everything started, you're going to come back on here and talk about it and tell the people more about it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely. So we want to talk about, after you graduated from high school and what have you, what transpired then, considering the fact that it seems a great deal to me that a lot of everything that you learned was basically on your own, with the aid of your father, may he rest in peace. He taught you some things, but from the majority of your life, you've been doing things on your own. So what actually did you do after you graduated from school?
Well, honestly, when I graduated from high school, it was an incredible experience. What I call it is it was a self-discovery period. Around the 9th grade, I moved to Washington and started going to a full-on public school, a high school. And then by the time I graduated that high school, there were things that I had to find out about different people, and who I could and who I couldn't trust, how I could and couldn't move forward with people, and the type of boundaries that I would have to make to become an independent young woman that I am today. And, it was hard to let some people go, and there was a lot of feelings of guilt and, shame of having to run away. And, when I say run away, I mean move out, literally, from underneath, the kind of, the codependent relationships. And
right.
What codependent is, it's like, it's just like, I depend on these people because without them, I can't do it by myself.
Right.
And it's like, they need me and I need them. So, it's like, we can't live without each other. And that's not a good place to be, especially when you're, when you have a disability, period, the world looks at you differently. But then when you're a female, you already have the stigma that you're supposed to be some type of damsel in distress, and I'm not saying that against anybody, but I'm saying that against the societal standards.
Right.
But, you know, I just want especially my blind ladies to know, like, you don't have to be helpless. You don't have to show up for everybody's kind of, you know, like that entitlement, like everything that you have is theirs, because it's not true. And even to this day, I kind of have to work through some of the negative stigmas that come with being an independent, young, blind female.
Like what?
Like, or let's say I want to get a job. You know, getting a job is not easy for a blind person as it is, but when you have, on top of that, like a passion like music or something like that,
yeah, people
are already looking at you and looking at where you're failing at before they look at where you're succeeding.
True. That's true. I've definitely had that experience, and I'm still having it today. Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. Yeah.
That only makes you stronger, believe me, because
it does.
There are plenty of times if I didn't have that particular strength, I don't know what I would have done, but it has helped me out. And definitely meeting people like you all, as I conclude, meeting people like you all have given me even more strength. I mean, because since this show has been in its stages, I met a lot of people that are doing some things that are not only, giving me their stories just cause they've given me strength as well and given me determination, man. And I'm not saying it because you're on here right now. I have never met you, but I like the vibe. I like the fact that you're a strong black woman, and you're determined. I mean, you haven't let anything stop you, considering you are a person who's totally blind, and you're not supposed to anyway. And as I digress right quick, you lost your sight when you were young, or you were born totally blind, if I may ask.
Oh, yes, I was born blind. Yes, I was.
Okay.
And my condition was just due to like the environment in the womb and stuff like that. It was weird, but yeah.
Okay.
I was born blind.
Well, shoot. I mean, and look how it was done. We touched on that in the beginning. I ain't really want to harp on it too much because I mean, yeah, you know, it's the fact. Okay, we blind. So we just move on. I don't really want to just totally have the interview just focus on that, because there are a lot of things that you do possess, saying, because of the fact that, even though you're blind, you're still doing things. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to be just, that, and I'm glad we did it in that capacity. So with that being said, why don't you close the show and tell everybody, what you want to know about yourself, and why they should subscribe to the Parker Daniel Show, because you did a hell of a job.
Get right with the Daniel Parker Show, because this show right here gonna change your life. Let me tell you why.
But it is the Parker Daniel Show, and
yes,
we want to thank you for coming on. Tell the people to subscribe and like, share, and follow. Go ahead and do that for me.
Please subscribe, share, and like this beautiful show right here.
Thanks a lot. I want to thank you all for tuning into the show with my partner in crime, friend, Brittany. She's kind of shy though, but because before we were talking, she was yeah. But we did do a good thing. We were able to get what we the interview went smooth and everything. I appreciate it, and I want to say what's up to my co-host, Kim Daniels. And with that being said, because I don't want to ramble, subscribe and share, follow, hit the notification bell, and comment. So with that being said, I am out.